All right, I forgot that we have an early out today, so our time is limited. Is that yay or shucks? Yes, you're missing out on free knowledge. Okay? Everyone has their own opinion. Okay? Because when you're not always going to like everything that you have to do with your job. Who knows what it is they would like to be doing 10 years from now? Okay? So, you were first. Do you mind sharing what that is possibly going to be? Okay? I guarantee you there's going to be something about doing your chosen profession you're just absolutely not going to want to do. That even happens here with any educator's job. There's things that we have to do that we don't want to do. And I think some of you know enough about this. Does our working day end at 3:30? No. Just like you don't stop learning really either, but for most people, you just shut the door at work, you go home, and you come back the next day. That's not always the case in this type of a profession. Yeah, you might close the door, you leave, but you bring things home with you. You, as an educator, you're thinking about, okay, what should I be doing differently? What am I doing wrong? How am I going to get through this? Why can't I show that this is important? And it's something that educators bring home, and they think about it a lot. Okay? So it's just my personal opinion that even in that type of a profession, there's still going to be things that you have to do that you aren't going to want to do. Turning in your mileage for your patrol car, or whatever level it is, which you might think, well, gosh, you're out on patrol. That should be something very easy to do. Well, if you forget to write it down from one time to the next, then you got to go back and a log, and then you got to report in to the desk sergeant and all. I don't want to do that. Well, tough. That is part of your job. One other person who had their hand up. What might that be? Okay, someone else. Not that we don't want to discuss that, but it's the same thing. Yes?
What? Or answer what?
Yeah, 10 years from now. What is it, 10 years from now?
Decent mechanic.
Oh, okay. You got to replace a clutch. Sounds pretty simple, don't it? What about if you have to cut a hole through the chassis to get to the clutch plate? That's not. Do you think anytime you're using cutting torch, metal, does that sound like it's going to be a fun job? Sounds like you can get your hands burnt a lot. I don't want to do that, and I'm not smart enough to come up with that example myself. There's a guy in my unit. He was a diesel mechanic, just like yourself. And he said, it was just got to be a point I just yelled at my boss. Couldn't take it anymore. Well, he still has the same job, but someone came in that had to have their clutch replaced. And he said, I had to cut a hole through the chassis to get to that clutch plate. And cut a hole about like this. Got to get both my hands up in there. And like I said, anytime you're cutting something with a torch, I'm sure that metal is hot. Boss said, asked him about every half hour, are you done yet? Are you done yet? There's going to be things that you're going to be doing that you just don't like to do. Now, whether that's school, you're young yet, your frontal lobes have not developed yet. Does that sound like an insult? No. Okay. What do you suppose your frontal lobes might deal with? Decision making. That's right. It doesn't mean that you're not making bad decisions, just maybe haven't quite developed. Now that's everybody. We're not singling any one of you out. Some of you perhaps still make bad decisions. That's how you grow. That's how you learn, so you hopefully don't repeat them same mistakes. I still make the same mistakes. This desktop was clean when we started the year. Okay? But what this, I would laugh too. No, I'm not looking at it because you laughed. I would think that's hilarious. But what does it say about, in my opinion, if you don't ever have any papers up here, what might that mean? You're not collecting anything. You don't have anything to hand back. What good is that, correct? Yeah. But anyway. So with this, like for instance, your plays in do you have plays in volleyball? Yeah, I didn't think so, but you have plays in basketball, in football. Do you have diagrams for marching band? We used to have diagrams we had to know for marching band. Yes? No? Okay. When it comes to reading music, okay? Sometimes you might say, if you know how to do this now, chances are you're going to know how to do this later. Writing this down, that is a personal choice. If you know this now, do you think you're going to know it again later? Probably. Okay. I just wanted to perhaps jot down a few things that I thought was kind of important because we're limited on time. So I'm not going to walk up and down these, I almost said hallways, aisles. Okay. If you write it down, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. And I think sometimes what people might do, I'm going to write this down just because everyone else is. That's fine. I'm not going to write this down. That's fine too. Okay? So I didn't want to put a whole lot of information up here, again, just because we are about at 15 minutes left. Because why do you think people choose to write things down as opposed to this? So you can't see this. You are correct. Okay? Chances are if you write something down, you are going to remember it more. You're more than likely, does that sound right? You're more likely to remember that. Okay? And even when it comes to, like sometimes I used to go down to the kitchen, I just look at the board, see once what it is for lunch. Got to repeat it to myself about 3 or 4 times, and yep, I think I got it. I get down here and I write Mondays and Tuesdays, and God, Friday it was this one, and then it might slowly come back in the old memory banks. But if you can answer some of these, that everything you know about it, chances are the next time you see it, you're going to remember it, whether you write it down or not. Okay, you let me know when you would like to get started with this. And you can just do it as we go too. There's no rhyme or reason why there's different colors. I'm just jotting things down so I can help, so I can remember it to help you. Okay, so when we talk about replication, what might we be replicating? Yeah, you're making a copy of what? Yeah, so you're making a copy of DNA. Okay, so if we are talking about DNA specifically, where is that found in each and every one of the cells in your body? Can it be found outside the nucleus? No, it can't. Okay? Just like, for instance, I don't mean to pick on you football players. It sounds like I am, but I'm not. Don't you suppose Mr. Williamson wish he could come out to the huddle with you to tell you where it is you need to go and assemble all that? But no, the coach stays on the sideline. So the coach or coaches, they're on the sideline to instruct the message that has to get from point A to point B. So it's making a copy of DNA, which this DNA does what? It tells the cell what to make, and that is making of this whole chapter dealt with making something specific. Proteins. And when you make something, okay, like for instance, we got this bag balm over here. What happens if you synthesize something? Is sound synthesizer a term? Is that an actual musical deal? A sound synthesizer? I'm asking because I don't know. I thought that's something that makes different types of beats and rhythms and sounds. Metrodome? Okay, so it's something that repeats that over and over. You're making a beat. Well, okay, this is making proteins. Okay, so that's what DNA does. It directs the cellular activities because it makes proteins. So directs activities. Okay, what is everything that you can tell me about transcription? Does anybody know? It involves you two.
It's like a script or whatever that is.
So what does a script or scribe do? Reads and writes. Okay? So in this process of transcription, what is doing the reading? Messenger RNA. Okay? What is the messenger RNA reading? The instructions which came on what? The DNA. That's right. So these go hand in hand because that is reading that. In short, that is the most basic definition you could give for the process of transcription. That's probably not what it says in the book, but for those of you who understand this, does that make sense to you? Huh. Messenger RNA is just reading the DNA. That's transcription. Very short, concise, and precise definition. Okay? So if this is a reading process, what is translation? Actually, right, or decoding it. Like for instance, okay, how many Spanish students do we have in here? Okay, so if I said science is the best, can you say that in Spanish? Okay, let them have it. Did you get that? Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, very good. That's what translation is. You're reading a process, then you're telling what that said. So I told you that in English, then you translated that to Spanish. Okay? Make sense? Okay? So, but before I forget, where does this process take place? Transcription. Too far. Okay? Blob here. When you get the message, where are you standing?
By the sidelines.
Okay? Because these proteins are assembled not at the sideline, out in the huddle, right? So the sideline, we said, is also an example of what? The nucleus. Okay? So this process occurs in the nucleus. Okay? Where does translation take place? That's what I said, you're too far behind. Now you can say where? At the ribosome. Okay? But what is actually happening at the ribosome? It's a 3-letter code of messenger RNA, which is what? Codons. So codons of mRNA. What's the other half? Anticodons, which is what? Not messenger RNA, but transfer RNA. anticodons. Oops, codons of transfer RNA. Okay? And it's one of your vocab terms. What does transfer RNA physically pick up and carry to the ribosome? Amino acids. Okay? Are we going too fast? Are we going over this, and is anyone saying this makes absolutely no sense to me? Okay? So then, when we're talking about assembly, what is happening at the ribosome? What's being assembled? Proteins. So where did these proteins, how did they know how to get assembled? It came all the way back from before you got that message. Where did that come from? You said from the sideline. So what gives the directions on how these are assembled? It's not the messenger RNA. It's not the transfer RNA. What's in the nucleus? The DNA. The DNA is what swings the big stick here. It's directing these cellular activities because it's telling what proteins to make. We're trying to illustrate how these are all interconnected. Okay? And let's see here. Specifically, where is messenger RNA found? It's a trick question. Be careful. 2 places. Well, it is, but that's the second one. The first one, it's a little more difficult to remember. Because remember, what is messenger RNA doing in this process? It's reading the DNA. So that must mean it's found where? It's found in the nucleus. And where else can it be found? Which is, I think, combine what you two said, because you're both right. I could have swore I heard that. What did you, because you were right.
He said inside the nucleus.
Oh, that's not what I interpreted you said. I thought you said cytoplasm. Okay.
I can say it too.
Oh, say it in Spanish, then I'll feel better. Is that possible?
In Spanish,
Yeah.
cytoplasma.
Oh, okay. See? Why do you people not get that?
Well,
I haven't learned it yet.
well.
Okay. So it's found in the nucleus and at the ribosome. That's where you find messenger RNA. Okay. Where is transfer RNA found? That's a little more vague because it's all over inside the cell. Not A. Someone said it. Cytoplasm. So this is found in the cytoplasm. Okay. What is a codon? 3-letter code of what nucleic acid? No. No. You're going to hit yourself over the head and say, God, I can't believe I said that. A little more specific. Oh. You're giving all the difficult answers. You're missing the entire forest for the trees. Close. You just gave the wrong one. Messenger RNA. How did we know that? What does it say right here? Yes. Yes. So if codons are messenger RNA, what must anticodons be? tRNA. Okay? Then lastly, where is DNA found? Okay? So then, what might a function of that DNA be? Yeah, it's controlling what the cell's doing because it's making these. Okay? So yes, directs activities. Okay. Okay, we're running out of time, and we've had enough fun for today. Who's had enough fun?
That was so much
Okay.
fun today.
Yeah. Okay. So,
So what can I call all of them?
all right, so we will continue with this tomorrow.